So as you clicked on this video, you've probably purchased the XE-4. And if you want to get the best out of this camera, then stick around. I'm going to give you some explanations on what settings I use for street photography or photography in general. Alright, I've used this Fujifilm XE-4 for a couple of months now, and I think I purchased this one last summer, and this small beast really impressed me. There are fewer buttons than on the other Fujifilm systems like the Fujifilm XE3, and so after some time of using this one, I think it might be a good idea to share my settings to make your shooting experience even more enjoyable than it already was. Or maybe you already have your settings and you want to see mine. That's also a possibility. So, right, first up is the focus mode. There are two possibilities to use the autofocus system. The first one is using the shutter button. If you press the shutter button halfly, then it picks the focus, and when you press down, then it takes a photo. Another way of using the autofocus is putting the camera into manual mode, and then when pressing the AEL, the AFL button, then it picks the focus for you. But my preferred way of shooting is using the shutter button because it's more natural for me. Next up is the focus area. For street photography, I like to choose the zone mode. You can adjust the autofocus zone by flicking the joystick and the square will appear. Next, you scroll on the scrolling wheel and voila, 3 options are given. I picked the smallest one for street photography. That way, I can quickly change the focus when someone is passing by to the left or the right side of the frame. If I'm shooting for clients, then I have a little bit more time to pick my focus, so then I use the single point autofocus mode. Next, there are some autofocus custom settings, but I never messed around with these. Mine is set to number 2, where the subject is, and that's the most important for me. But if you're interested, then you can take your time to mess around with these. Finally, I select the face eye detection on because 80% of my pictures are involving people. And this technology just helps me to make the shooting experience easier, especially when you're out on the streets. Fujifilm made it super easy to get quick access to one of your most important settings, and this is called the My menu. Here's how you do it. Go to the wrench key, pick user settings and scroll down. There you see a picture and a video icon. Here you can add or remove your favorite settings for video and photo. You can also rank your items super easily. Flick through your favorite settings, but if you're interested, I'll just show you mine. What is also super cool is that when you press the menu button, it automatically goes to My menu, and then you have access to all of your favorite settings at one click. So it's super easy to adjust these settings when you're on the go. Take your time to select these and to rearrange to your likings. So the final part of the customization is this small button here at the top right, and I use this one a lot. This is blank and you can change this one to whatever setting you like. To change this, you go into menu, go to the wrench key, and then you select your button dial setting, go over to the function setting, and here you get presented with all of the buttons that you can customize. So we're looking for the FN button, which is the function button. And mine is set to ISO, so I can quickly change my ISO settings, but you can change to whatever function you like. You have photometry, shutter type, TTL lock, and yeah, a lot of settings. So pick whatever you like. As you can see on the function settings, you can also use the touchscreen to adapt different functions. For example, you can change your ISO, your white balance, whatever, but I like to choose to turn the touchscreen off because I don't want accidentally to change all of my settings whenever my camera is in my pocket or when it's gripping my jacket, for example. Then next up we have our sound settings. Now, as a street photographer, the last thing you want is to have your people acknowledge you because your camera is making unnecessary noise and they're scaring the people away. It's a nightmare when someone is doing something and you really want to capture that moment, and then there's someone behind their shoulder taking a picture, and then it suddenly does beep beep, for example, and you scare the moment away, if you know what I mean. So you want to turn the sound off. And to do that, you go to the wrench key, go to sound setup, and turn everything off. Your AF beep, volume, your self timer, beep volume, operation volume, all of it, turn it off. Now I'm going to explain to you how I shoot on the street. Now for street photography, I want to do this camera to do the work for me. For example, it's a matter of split seconds whenever something interesting is happening, and you don't want to ruin that moment by wasting time adjusting the shutter speed or the ISO settings. So what I do is I turn the top dial to automatic, which makes the shutter speed automatic. But when you do that, you don't want to have a super low shutter speed. So to change that, press the function button, which is set to ISO in my case, and then you scroll all the way down, and there you see your 3 auto settings. So mine is set at auto 2, for example, where the ISO base is 400 and the max sensitivity is at 6400. Because if you go over that, then your image becomes too grainy, in my opinion. And then I have my minimum shutter speed to 1/200. In another case, if I have more time, for example, on a family shoot or whenever the lighting is a bit difficult, then I turn the top dial to T, and this makes it possible to use this scroll wheel right here to change the shutter speed settings. So you can see it changes the shutter speed, and then use the function settings right here to change up the ISO. Next up, you can use the aperture ring on the lens to change your aperture accordingly. Most of the time mine is set to 2.8. Next up, I'm going to show you what my image quality settings are for street photography. So the image quality is RAW because I like to adjust all of my pictures in Lightroom afterwards. The RAW recording is uncompressed. Then my film simulation is ASTIA Soft. I used to shoot in classic chrome. I really like that film simulation, but in my opinion, I think ASTIA Soft brings out the natural colors more instead of the classic chrome. And with classic chrome, it's already looking really nice into the camera. And I don't really want that anymore when it comes to color grading afterwards. So I pick ASTIA Soft. All of my other settings are neutral. So there's no tone curve, no color, no sharpness, whatever. Everything is set at 0. Whenever I go to a street photography session, there's a GoPro strapped to my chest because all of my street photography sessions are made for YouTube. And I want the viewer to have the best experience by watching what I do. So I never really used the rangefinder. I actually really like to use a rangefinder, but for you guys, for my viewers, which I love so much, I use the screen. And I try to hold the camera in front of the GoPro before taking a picture. That way you'll see what I'm looking at when taking a picture, and then you can see the result afterwards. Then lastly, we'll go over to my film simulations. And film simulations are probably the biggest reason why I like Fujifilm. And to be honest, I only discovered film recipes last summer. So let's go over to what film simulations I have, what Fujifilm recipes I have. And a quick way to access those is pressing the Q button and then use the scrolling wheel to change the top left. And there you have all of your preset slots where you have all of your recipes. So number 1 is Bright Kodak, number 2 is Porta 400 Warm, number 3 is Bright Summer, number 4 is Superia 1600, number 5 is Kodachrome, and there you have it. These are my Fujifilm recipes, which I like to use a lot. These are basically simulations for film rolls. There's a guy who made an app. He started out with a blog, but he made an app called Fuji X Weekly. And on that app you can see all of the film simulations that are out there, and they're basically usable for every Fuji X system. You can check on the website or on the app which camera you have. Some simulations aren't available for other cameras, but there are a lot of Fujifilm recipes, so you have to check these out. It's really cool to shoot with. I mostly save all of my Fujifilm recipes in JPEG, so I don't have to edit those afterwards, but still you can select the option to shoot them in RAW as well. For example, if you have a really nice picture that you eventually do want to edit in Lightroom, then this is also possible. Okay, that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a thing or two about your new camera, or maybe the camera that you will buy later or thinking about buying. It's really worth it. It's really a good camera. I'm going to Germany tomorrow, so I'm doing a street photography there. So we'll see each other in the next video, which probably will be in Köln. Enjoy the rest of your holidays. I hope you had a great Christmas, and I hope you all have a great end of the year. Celebrate with family and friends. I'm surely going to enjoy that one as well. So thank you guys for watching. I'm at 1000 subscribers. That's pretty awesome. Maybe I mentioned this one before, but if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. I'm planning to do a lot about photography. I'm going to dabble into film photography as well. I've never done this before, so that might be something cool to see my evolution this year in me getting to know different analog cameras and learn about film, how to develop them. Yeah, that's a plan for 2023. But we'll see each other in the next video. Bye bye.